Hello, good morning and welcome to Ireland AM on Virgin Media 1 and Virgin Media Player. It is Monday, the 6th of November.
It is great to have you with us to start a brand new week. We've got a great show, so let's kick off where we're starting.
Yeah, we're going to be taking... Let's kick off where we're starting. We'll be taking a look at the weekend's sporting highlights. We'll have everything from the Premier League to GAA club clashes.
At 8:15, we are going to be looking at whether your accent changes the way that you are viewed. We'd love to get your opinion on this. Have you ever faced discrimination? Do people slag you off about your accent? If you're happy, send us in a voice note of your accent and we can slag you off. 0896 111 111.
We won't do that. I often
You slag me off all the time, so I'm well used to it.
Not about your accent, though. It's never about your accent.
Oh, yeah.
I get a lot of, put on your real accent. No one from Limerick sounds like that. I'm like, all right, lads. 0896, we'd love to hear from you. 0896 111 111. Leading health and performance coach Gerry Hussey will be talking to us in just a little while as well.
Alan, what else have we got this morning?
Well, a great pack show. Celebrity hairstylist Andrew Fitzsimons will be stopping by to chat, keeping up with her Kardashians. Great friends with the Kardashians. Plus, on the catwalk, we've got some snug seasonal shoes to keep you warm this winter. And Gina Daly's here because she's keeping us fed this morning.
Good morning.
What are you going to feed us with this morning, Gina?
I'm going to do a fabulous takeaway, a chicken shawarma. So it's like a kebab with loads of sauce and veg and gorgeous.
This week on Ireland AM, we've teamed up with Visit Armagh to give you the chance to win an amazing prize for two people of a two-night B&B stay. With one evening meal at Littlewood Bank, tickets to the world's only Game of Thrones studio tour, £100 shopping voucher for the Boulevard, £50 meal voucher at the Salt Kitchen, and a trekking experience at Mourne Alpacas. Autumn and winter is a great time to visit Armagh. You can explore the hidden gems of Armagh, enjoy open spaces and historic houses at National Trust properties, and shop until you drop at the Boulevard Premium Shopping Outlet. You can also celebrate the beginning of the Christmas season at the award-winning Armagh Georgian Festival, taking place 23rd to the 26th of November. See visitarmagh.com to create your perfect autumn-winter mini break. For your chance to win this great prize, just answer this question. What province is Armagh in? Is it A, Ulster or B, Leinster? To enter, just call 1550 999 092 or text VISIT to 57199. Best of luck.
Good luck with that one, nice and early this morning. Now, coming up after the break, is there a teacher in your child's classroom? Because there are about 800 shortages around the country. And we had Minister Foley in here recently talking about how there's going to be loads of teachers, no shortages. So we're going to be talking about that and everything else making the news this morning.
We sure are. We're back after this short break.
Welcome back. It's time now to take a look at this morning's paper, starting with the Irish Times. Its headline, 800 vacant teacher jobs in primary schools. An unprecedented shortfall of more than 800 vacant teaching posts across primary classes is undermining the education of pupils with the greatest needs. That's according to a survey of more than 1,000 schools.
Mortgage switcher savings double in months to €7,000. That's the front page of the Irish Independent. Mortgage rates being charged by conventional lenders have breached the 7% barrier for the first time in over a decade. This means some households may be paying a record of up to €7,000 in extra repayments a year by not switching lenders.
The Examiner's front page aimed to finish COVID inquiry in a year. An inquiry into how the state handled the COVID pandemic will be up and running next year with the aim to have it concluded within 12 months, the Taoiseach has said.
Fight back in courts against the TV licence offenders. That's the front page of the Daily Mail. The number of people hauled into court this year over unpaid TV licences has already surpassed the whole of 2022. There's been a massive increase in refusals to cough up for a licence since the RTE scandal over payments to Ryan Tubridy broke last summer.
And the Star leads with four dangerous Kinahan cartel thugs are back on the streets after being freed from prison, including an enforcer for the mobster known as Mr. Flashy.
Yes, the Herald goes that same story. Top Kinahan criminal back on the streets. A Kinahan cartel criminal, formerly regarded as the gang's number 3 operative on the ground in Dublin, is back on the streets after serving just 6 years in prison for plotting murder.
The Sun leads with go to Ireland or the desert. Palestinians can go to Ireland or deserts, an Israeli minister declared in a radio interview yesterday. The Israeli Heritage Minister also said that nuking Gaza is one of the possibilities open to his country.
And the Mirror goes with dead Emily is held hostage. 8-year-old Irish girl reported to have been killed by Hamas. Now thought to be alive and held hostage in Gaza. The family of Emily Hand, whose father Thomas is from Dublin, say Israeli authorities told them it is highly likely she was abducted.
And now joining us this morning for everything that is making the news, it is Sarah McGuinness from the Business Post. Thank you so much, Sarah.
Great to be with us, thank you.
And we're going to start with that final headline, and this is Emily Hand, whose father was born in Dunleary in Ireland, and just after the October 7th attacks, he had said he had been told that she had been killed by Hamas.
Yes. So, as you mentioned, 8-year-old Emily Hand was living in a kibbutz in Israel. She was on a sleepover with a friend the night of the October 7th attack. Her father went into his bunker when the raid started, and then when he came out, he was told that she had passed away. And at the time, he had actually said he was relieved because death was better than being held by Hamas. But then last week, Israeli authorities were informed or told the family that it's likely that she's actually being held in Gaza by Hamas, that she's been abducted. So her sister, Natalie, issued a really heartfelt plea on CNN saying they were doing everything they can to get her home. The Irish Department of Foreign Affairs have said that they acknowledge that she has been abducted and that they have heard of this information. So just really, really heartbreaking for that poor family. Thomas Hand, who's born in Dunleary, he's been in Israel for over 30 years. He said it was such a gorgeous place to live and to raise his family before the attack of October 7th. So just really devastating for them.
Paradise. Could never have asked for a better place to, fell in love with the people over there. His wife, of course, passed away, I think, from cancer. And now his daughter, who was on a sleepover, her, the other little girl, and the mother, I think, are said to be... well, we'll find out, I'm sure, what's going to happen with that as well. Listen, let's move on to another story from there. So the Israeli minister has made some comments bringing up Ireland in it as well. He's now since been suspended, but what did he say? So
the Heritage Minister of Israel told the Israel Times, Amichai Eliyahu, that basically Palestinian citizens can go to Ireland or the deserts, and that nuclear bombing Gaza was a possibility that the government were considering. He made a raft of really inappropriate and horrible comments saying that there are no such thing as like an unbiased citizen in Gaza, that he compared helping them to helping the Nazis. So really strong comments that have been rebuked by Benjamin Netanyahu.
Now, he did also say that when he was talking about dropping a atomic bomb on Gaza as a possibility, that he was clearly being metaphorical. Obviously, so unbelievably metaphorical. The issue about going to Ireland or the desert is because obviously Ireland is kind of seen as a pro-Palestinian country. In relation to that, Micheál Martin, as the Minister for Foreign Affairs, and Taoiseach has said that he doesn't believe that Irish citizens in Gaza are being forced to stay there or kept from leaving as a result of our stance calling for a ceasefire.
So there's about 35 to 40 Irish civilians in Gaza, and he's saying that he doesn't believe that the stance that Ireland has taken, which, to be fair, is probably more pro-Palestinian than most other countries, is affecting them. He's just saying that they're not letting anyone out at all. So that will be a development to keep watching over the coming days.
And they did stop most people leaving the Rafah border crossing. They were taking kind of people who had been injured rather than people with foreign passports there over the weekend.
Oh, it is quite frightening. And of course, it doesn't look like it's going away anytime soon as well. Let's move to a story that's a little bit closer to home, something we've discussed an awful lot over the last number of months. It's front of one of the papers again this morning. So teachers, we spoke to Norma Foley a little while ago. She told us that there's going to be a raft of more teaching posts become available, but Doesn't look like there's much need for it because there's already 800 vacant posts sitting there in schools.
Same story, different day, really. 800 vacant posts. This is according to a survey by the INTO and a couple of other teaching bodies. And they're just saying that it's likely to grow worse in the coming months, which is great. They're projecting an additional 1,200 long-term vacancies within the next 3 months, which is insane. And as we know, like, schools are already struggling. The report also showed that 2 out of 3 schools have been putting special education educators to fill the holes in terms of like the teaching posts that are gone, which of course is just taking away support from the children that need it most. And naturally the accommodation crisis is being cited as like a big driver that's kind of moving teachers to either to the private sector or abroad. So yeah, it's absolutely insane. The INTO Deputy General Deirdre O'Connor said that other countries were incentivising Ireland's primary teachers and that the Department of Education was failing to convince them to stay. And well, it's pretty evident.
It is. I mean, it's worse in the greater Dublin area because, as you said, teachers can't afford to live in and around the capital.
Yeah.
Our cities all over the country, I would imagine, Galway, Cork, listen, everywhere it is the same story. But as Norma Foley said, there are more teachers in the country than ever before. But when you're seeing this amount of vacancies, and if you're thinking like your kids are going to school today, will the teacher be there if they're going into special years, special exams coming up? Are they getting the best teaching resources that you would hope for? 0896 111 111. We'd love to hear from you on that. We'll move on to mortgages next.
Yes.
So interest rates, we've heard, I want to see spiking up, but there is actually, this is quite interesting. So we're now seeing that it has broken the 7% barrier since, you know, a long time ago. €7,000 could be costing you an extra payments. But if you do switch, there's good savings to be made.
Yeah, so you could be saving, you could be making massive savings basically. And they're saying that people aren't really switching, but it's so hard to switch. We just saw last month, particularly those, and I'm assuming these will be the people more impacted by the 7% mortgages with who are with credit service agencies, and so their mortgage is basically managed by an investment fund, so they can't get a fixed rate mortgage. So I imagine they are the ones being really hit by these hikes and who are feeling the raft of this. But until recently, they couldn't switch providers, so it's kind of easier.
But when
said
it's with
than
a
done.
vulture fund, when you're sold to a vulture fund, and we've spoken to people here who had no idea that their mortgage has been sold to a vulture fund, they didn't know what to do. Is there a way to get out of that now?
Well, the last month, and I'm going completely off topic here, but last month the PPFI introduced this set of criteria, which was agreed with all the main lenders. So that would kind of make it easier, because there was something like 30,000 people were being sold with vulture funds, which is absolutely insane.
And didn't even realise that they were being sold to the vulture funds.
No, many of them didn't.
But if you think that you've gone from 7, you can be now up to 7.15%, where the lowest on the market at the minute is 3.85. What a saving. I mean,
what a saving. And also many people are eligible for green mortgage products as well, which they don't even know about. So if you're looking, if you're in the market for switching your mortgage.
A green mortgage is where you get lower, this is what I'm looking at the moment, where you get a lower interest rate because your house is a BE or of B3 or above. So if you've got that, you can get that.
But AIB and the likes would have them.
Okay, let us know what you think. I mean, are you stuck on an over 7% mortgage at the minute? I mean, and the hoops that you have to jump through to try and get changed, you have to go see your solicitor and everything else. 0896 111 111. And then something completely different, The Simpsons.
Over to Springfield, yeah, so Homer.
Over to Springfield, love it.
So, yeah, basically Homer's no longer strangling Bart because times have changed, fair play to him. So in season 35...
So you're not allowed to do that to your kids anymore?
I didn't know, apparently. Homer keeping me in the loop.
I was stuck in the airport for hours last night and I felt like doing that many a time.
Like how people don't take their parenting life skills from someone with 4 fingers. I mean, come on.
I have no idea.
Or 3 fingers and a thumb. So they've gone.
They're gone with the times. Fair play to you, Homer.
But they did actually reference it in the show, The Simpsons, as to why he stopped strangling him.
Season 35, episode 3, he's giving his new neighbour a very firm handshake and he's like, wow, that's some grip you've got there. And he's like, oh, all the years of strangling Bart have paid off. But then quickly shows his wokeness and says, oh, no, I don't actually do that anymore. So it's gone, apparently. But it was raised in, I can't believe we're talking about this at 7:30 in the morning, but a therapist voiced by Paul Rudd in the show in season 22 or something insane like that, actually, apparently tried to, therapy verifies Homer out of strangling Bart.
Love it.
So they've referenced it before, but it did take them another 13 seasons
did.
to actually commit.
The fact that it was called Love is a Manny Strangled thing, that episode in season 22.
I love that someone even
fantastic.
on Twitter just had said, took them long enough.
It's a cartoon.
It's a cartoon.
It's a cartoon.
Exactly.
God, Roadrunner won't be allowed to blow up someone now. It'll be terrible.
Sarah McGuinness from the Post, thank you very much.
So much, Sarah. We appreciate
Thank you.
0896 111 111 to get in contact on anything. Lots more to come on Ireland AM.
See you back here shortly.
Now, the trial of the man accused of murdering Ashling Murphy, Joseph Pushka, continues today after he took to the stand last week to give his version of events.
I realise this is very upsetting for many people. Joining us with an update on the trial and what's to come is assistant producer of the Crime World podcast, Clodagh Meany. Clodagh, thank you so much for joining us. Can you bring us up to date, because Joseph Pushka was on the stand last week giving his evidence?
Yeah, so he was on the stand, and I suppose this is the first time that we've actually heard his version of events of what happened on the 12th of January. So, you know, the prosecution rested their case on Thursday. The defence began and they called the first witness, which was Joseph Pushka. When he came on the stand, they on Thursday, they got to a point where it was just before they were getting to the events of what happened in the lead up to Ashling Murphy's murder, and they broke for the day, so they come back on Friday morning, got straight into it. So his version of events was that he left his house at 11:30 on that morning, and we had heard kind of before that he had told this story to Gardaí in Blanchardstown about him being stabbed in Blanchardstown, but we didn't actually hear anything about what happened in the lead up. So he said that he left his house at 11:30 that morning on his bike. He cycled into town, into Tullamore town. It took him about 45 minutes. When he got there, he says that he realised he'd forgotten his phone, so he knew his brother was in town and decided to cycle around and look for him. He was at a dentist. During the course of his cycle around town, there was a lot of CCTV evidence from that day. I believe there's over 25,000 hours of footage that was taken of both Joseph Pushka and Ashling Murphy. During that, you know, he had agreed that was him on the CCTV. He described the bike that he was on. This bike was a huge part of the evidence. He described it was a black bike with green handlebars. It was put to him that he was following a woman. Now, this woman actually went on the stand earlier in the trial and said that she had felt that she was being followed.
Yeah.
But he had said that he wasn't following her, it wasn't his intention to do so. And kind of from there, he led into what actually happened when he got to the canal. So he says he got to the canal and he was pushing his bike. And at this point, a man attacked him, he said, for no reason whatsoever. This man threatened him. He said later that he threatened his wife. And the man then stabbed him in the stomach. At this point, he says Ashling Murphy came along and began shouting at this unknown man. This man has not actually been identified at all yet. And he said that Ashling Murphy shouted at the man then went for Ashling Murphy, and the two of them disappeared into bushes. So these are the bushes that we heard were at the side, along the side of the canal. There was like a lot of briars and brambles. It was very kind of thorny. He said that they fell into that area. He got up then, Joseph Pushka was on the ground, he got up, he looked into the bushes to see what was happening. He shouted at the man that was attacking Ashling Murphy. Joseph Pushka then backed away. The man ran off towards town, and Joseph says that he fell into the bushes then himself and tried to help Ashling Murphy. She had a scarf around her neck, so he was kind of using that, he said, to compress her wounds. But he was then pressed on, you know, did he stay there? What happened next? And he said that he had seen that she was in distress, but there was nothing he could do to help her. So at this point, he was afraid, and he was feeling quite sick and nauseous, so he fled the scene at this point.
And how does this differ from the version of events that he gave to police when he was originally interviewed, and especially when he was in hospital?
Yeah, so he went into hospital he was taken to St James's Hospital on the 13th of January, so this was the day after. So he says that, you know, this was the only version we ever heard of was what happened in St James's Hospital, and this was what was the only kind of version of events that we were given. We were given no other kind of information about what had happened throughout the day in the lead up. So the only thing we heard was that he had gone to St James's Hospital. He told Gardaí that he had been stabbed in Blanchardstown. So originally it was Gardaí from Blanchardstown that actually came to speak to him. And there had actually coincidentally been a stabbing in Blanchardstown that day. So he had told Gardaí that he'd been stabbed by these men. He got out of a taxi. He'd taken a taxi there to meet this woman named Maria. When he got there, he just got out of a taxi and he was attacked straight away. He then took a taxi to a family house in Crumlin. Now, when Gardaí kind of interviewed him on the 13th, they said that what he was saying wasn't really adding up. And they had known as well that he'd come from Tullamore, so they contacted the Gardaí in Tullamore and told them, you know, we have this man here in hospital, he has stab wounds, the story isn't really making sense. And they came up and spoke to him then. And he said that he doesn't remember any of this. He says that he doesn't remember what he told Gardaí. You know, it was put to him on the stand by the prosecution that he had admitted to the murder. And he said that he couldn't say anything about that because he couldn't remember.
Yeah. What did he say in response to what happened to his clothes, which had been burned?
Yeah, he said that when he got home that night, so what happened was when he was, after being in the bushes, he said he lost consciousness. He remained around Tullamore town for a time. He went to a friend's house, this man named Peter, who also gave testimony. This friend brought him home. When he got into his house, he had a shower and he wouldn't tell anyone what happened. He just said he had been in a fight in town and he gave his clothes to his family. He said he asked them for them to be burned. But there was he said he didn't know what happened to them after that he had asked for them to be burned, and that was.
So this is his version after he said he fled the scene.
Yes.
This is what he was alleging that he said and that he did.
Yes. So he said that he went home, had a shower, gave his clothes away to be burned. At that point, then he got a lift to Crumlin to family, and he went there.
There are the prosecuting counsel, Emery Lawler. She was obviously poking holes in his story. She put it to Pushka that this was the first time that he had ever mentioned this story. The one that he said there that he had helped her.
Yeah.
What did he say to that? Because they were like, we haven't heard the story before.
Yeah. So she had said to him, you know, you've had 18 to 20 months to put the story together for the jury, and he said, you know, he accepted this was the first time that story was being heard. She did put it to him that he was the one who stabbed Ashling Murphy in the neck 11 times and killed her, and he said, no, it wasn't me, it was somebody else. A lot of what he was saying, though, he wasn't given kind of straight answers. He would kind of say, I'm only telling you what I remember. I'm only telling you what I remember, instead of an affirmative yes or no.
And the trial continues today. What are we expecting today?
Yeah, so the trial continues today. We have one final defence witness going on the stand today. From there, we will hear closing arguments from both the prosecution and the defence. So they will just summarise the case so far. The judge will then also do a summary to the jury. They'll be given their charge sheet of what the charges that they are to consider will be, and they will be sent off to deliberate.
Yeah, and who's the defence witness? Do we know?
We don't know who the defence witness is, so we'll find out today when they hit the stand.
Thank you so much. I know that this is incredibly tough for an awful lot of people to be listening to what's going on during this trial. But Claude Amini, assistant producer of the Crime World podcast, which you're covering it, of course. Thank you so much for joining us today. We really do appreciate it. Thank you.
Lots more still to come. We're going to take a quick break.
Hello, welcome back. Now, with all the excitement of the Premier League matches, so exciting. It's been a busy weekend in sport. I was gripped.
Here to catch us up on events of the weekend is sports journalist from the 42.ie, Gavin Cooney, and former Dublin footballer Paddy Andrews. Good morning to you both. Great to have you with us. Listen, forget Augusta, forget the Open. The Timber Tech Championships, that's what it's all about. And Padraig Harrington has won overnight.
Yeah. He's absolutely dominant on the Champions Tour. I think this is his 6th win on the tour since he joined it, and completely dominated from start to finish.
Is it the over 50s tour this is?
Yeah.
Isn't it incredible that, in that sport that you just keep on going? And how much did he win for winning it?
350k, which is nice. Nice
for the senior tour.
It's a great career, guys. If you're talking about like a 40-year career span, you know, if you're putting your kids into it, then put them into golf. So
we picked the wrong way. Paddy, didn't we?
Finished at 30. Washed up at 30. Harrington is
He's with an amateur sport. My God.
Even worse. I should have done rugby at least.
Well, exactly.
For Harrington, it is. So Harrington's still competing on the main tour in big events.
Yeah.
So he's been kind of cleaning up since he moved to the seniors tour, and last night is another victory for him again. We know how serious he takes his golf. You can see him probably for another 3 or 4 years dominating on that tour. So Great win for him, and a few quid as well.
A few quid as well. And if you want to get a few tips, do you ever watch his YouTube channel as well?
Yeah.
Very impressive, very helpful too.
He has a clothing line as well, doesn't he?
He does. He's got it all going on.
Paddy, what are you doing? What are you doing? Come on, Paddy.
I'm way off.
I mean, you can't just leave it to Paul Galvin. It's terrible.
Let's move on to another story. Of course, it was Liverpool winning yesterday against Luton.
Not quite. It was a last-minute...
a last-minute draw.
Yeah, last-minute draw. They got away with it. They missed so many chances early on, and then Luton almost punished them with a breakaway goal by Tai Chong in the sense that they're hopeful that he will be released soon, but he still hasn't been released. We're not entirely sure whether they're demanding a ransom fee or not. It's shrouded in a little bit of doubt, but what is beyond doubt is that Diaz has been going through something absolutely appalling in the last week.
Yeah.
And that he can come off the bench and score there is quite remarkable.
Be back home, wouldn't you? You would think that, like, to actually be still available to play and coming off the bench and listen.
Unbelievable.
I'm sure,
But
really
38,000 people have been kidnapped for ransom, essentially, in Colombia over the past few years. So it's a tactic that's done. But the president of Colombia was speaking about it when he was in the US last week, going, we need to sort this out. The mental fortitude of that young fella coming off the bench.
Yeah, it is surprising. Like you imagine he would have been home trying to arrange some sort of release or things like that. But to go on and play sport, maybe you can say it's taken his mind off things, but it's obviously a very, very serious situation. So fingers crossed that's sorted sooner rather than later. It seems to be going in the right direction, please God.
Yeah, it does look like it as well. Let's move on to another Premier League match. Newcastle against Arsenal. Cracker of a game. It was 1-0. Newcastle won to kind of beat Arsenal, who've been on form at the minute as well. But there's a lot of controversy around the VAR decision, and Mikel Arteta has come out.
Come out swinging, screaming is the word for it. He called the decision to allow the goal embarrassing and disgraceful. Now, there was this lengthy VAR check and they had a look at a few reasons why it might have been disallowed. Maybe the ball had gone over the end line before it was crossed in. Maybe Joe Linton had pushed Gabriel, the Arsenal defender, in the back, and then maybe Anthony Gordon was offside as the ball broke to him and he scored. It took 5 minutes to look at this.
Maybe. Yeah. Is this not what VAR is meant to do? Stamp out the maybe?
Well, it is and it isn't, because there's no real objective decision there. It's not an offside.
Did the ball go over the line?
They had no technology to say that. It looks like it did. But did it, Tommy? I know this is... Our minds are all warped by this, but, you know, we learned this at the World Cup last winter when Japan scored a goal against Spain. It looked like the ball was over the line. For the World Cup, they had technology to prove that it didn't, because obviously the ball is round, viewer. This is the insight you're here for. And maybe
I was just about to say the physics class.
It's just over the line. Look, they looked at it for ages. Maybe it could have been disallowed, but they found no obvious reason for it.
But Arteta's come out hard. Like, will he get punished for this? Because a lot of pundits have come out pretty hard against him, saying you can't be doing that.
Arsenal released a statement yesterday as well, then an official club statement supporting Arteta as well. So they're really, really backing him. But it's every single week. It's Arteta this week. It will be someone else next week. We had Jurgen Klopp only 2 or 3 weeks ago with the Liverpool and Tottenham game. It is every single week you're talking about decisions like this, and you can see the frustration on the manager's side. It will be someone else next week. What will they do with this? Probably a fine for Arteta, a match ban perhaps, but it was still surprising to see him so adamant, and it was like literally 2 minutes after the final whistle. He was obviously still very heated after the defeat, but the club have backed him yesterday as well.
And as a fan, you sound exasperated. We'd love to hear from you, 0896 111 111, because as Paddy said, this is happening continually and continually. And just to mention that there are 800 teacher shortages, you could do a physics class. That was excellent there.
But to be fair, it's not not VAR in soccer as well, in rugby as well, TMO. It does wind people up, but I do think that in football it should be a little bit more black and white, some of the decisions that are made. Katie McCabe. Arsenal, a big win for them at the weekend. Katie McCabe, her 200th appearance.
Yeah, amazing. Coming off, a week after she was voted in, I think she was 22nd in the voting for the Ballon d'Or. And I think she might have played a right back in this game, which goes to show her versatility. And a massive result for Arsenal to beat Manchester City 2-1 in the WSL to catapult themselves. It's early in the title race, but they would have, had they not won that game, they would have slipped well off the pace behind Chelsea and indeed City themselves. So that's a massive one.
It's absolutely amazing. And just quickly before we go, I just wanted to ask you, are you talking to Brian O'Driscoll? Is he talking to you?
Don't know.
Don't know, because last week Warren Gatland released his Fantasy Lions team.
Oh, sure, listen.
Over his 4 tours, and Tommy made the cut.
Captain?
Captain. Captain.
No less.
And Brian O'Driscoll didn't make the cut for Warren Gatland's Fantasy
Warren's
Lions
got a good
team.
eye for talent, you see, doesn't he?
You're one of the 3 Irish players that made it.
I know. Thank you very much, Warren. Well, to be fair to Warren Gatland, he did say that O'Driscoll played in 4 tours. And he said in the 2 early tours would have been when he was peak O'Driscoll, where he reckoned that Jonathan Davies was picked ahead of O'Driscoll. But there were no wingers peaking apart from me back then, so thankfully I got in there.
Are you delighted? That's a nice little compliment, isn't it?
Yeah, Warren Gatland done coach at 3 tours.
4 tours.
4 tours.
He's coming on next week, is he?
Yeah, exactly.
Specifically.
I keep inviting him, but he won't return my calls. But anyway, thank
He
you,
wants to
Warren.
talk about him being at his peak.
Yeah,
What's like when Tommy
I
was
thought
at
I'd
his
wear
peak.
my red jersey in honour of him. But yeah, that was a bit of nice news.
It was lovely news. It was lovely to see it. Well deserved to our Tommy. And a huge thank you to that. We'll see you again very soon. And congratulate Paddy's first day back since you had the baby.
Yeah, it's 18 weeks.
How's it going?
It's great. It's hard. He's definitely watching because he doesn't sleep between 12 and 8. So,
or 12 and 12.
Or 12 and 12.
Hey,
Well,
Paddy
come on,
Andrews. And Gavin Cooney, great to be both with us.
Thank you both so much. Cheers.
Still to come, we are going to be talking accents and can they impact forming an opinion on someone.
Plus, stylist, the stars, hairstylist, the stars, Andrew Fitzsimons chats hair care and hot shot clients. We'll see you back here very shortly. It's time now to take a look at this morning's paper, starting with the Irish Times. Its headline, 800 vacant teacher jobs in primary schools. An unprecedented shortfall of more than 800 vacant teaching posts across primary classes is undermining the education of pupils with the greatest needs. That's according to a survey of more than 1,000 schools.
Mortgage switcher savings double in months to €7,000. That's the front page of the Irish Independent. Mortgage rates being charged by conventional lenders have breached the 7% barrier for the first time in over a decade. This means some households may be paying a record of up to €7,000 in extra repayments a year by not switching lenders.
The Examiner's front page aimed to finish COVID inquiry in a year. The inquiry into how the state handled the COVID pandemic will be up and running next year with the aim to have it concluded within 12 months, the Taoiseach has said.
Fight back in court against the TV licence offenders. That's the front page of the Daily Mail. The number of people hauled into court this year over unpaid TV licences has already surpassed the whole of 2022. There has been a massive increase in refusals to cop up for licence fees since the RTE scandal over payments to Ryan Tubridy broke last summer.
The Star leads with 4 kin hell. 4 dangerous Kinahan cartel thugs are back on the streets after being freed from prison, including an enforcer known for the mobster known as Mr. Flashy.
The Herald goes with that same story. Top Kinahan criminal back on the streets. A Kinahan cartel criminal formerly regarded as the gang's number 3 operative on the ground in Dublin is back on the streets after serving just 6 years in prison for plotting murder.
The Sun leads with go to Ireland or the desert. Palestinians can go to Ireland or deserts, an Israeli minister declared in a radio interview yesterday. The Israeli Heritage Minister also said that nuking Gaza is one of the possibilities open to his country.
And the Mayor goes with dead. Emily is held hostage. An 8-year-old Irish girl reported to have been killed by Hamas last month is now thought to be alive and held hostage in Gaza. The family of Emily Hand, whose father Thomas is from Dublin, say Israeli authorities told them it is highly likely she was abducted. Now, speaking to a number of the stories this morning, we were talking about the teachers. This is front of the Irish Times this morning. 800 vacant teaching posts across primary school classes already at the moment. It looks like it's going to climb massively over the next couple of months, and we asked you to get us in touch and give us your thought on it. Sarah said, I work in a school and Kerry, we've had to blend classrooms to teach classes of different level because we can't get the staff. I understand this can be done with small numbers, but I have too many students in my class. It's not productive anymore. And we were speaking about this.
So they're just taking students from different classes into the one big one and just trying to get through the day?
I'd say they're having to bring two classrooms together, and try to teach them separately.
And the Minister for Education, Norma Foley, has promised that we're going to get our class sizes down, but we do have one of the largest class sizes, I think, in an OECD country. Miriam says, like Manny, my son has just left for Australia to teach there for 2 years. He says 2 years. The conditions are much better. Why would anyone young stay in this country if you can't get accommodation?
We were talking about, because in the article in this with the Times, they said that the big thing is the accommodation crisis. And we know the accommodation crisis is all over the country, but predominantly in the cities, the likes of Dublin,
bigger cities,
Cork, and even. But then to hear Sarah talk that this is even in Kerry, this shows that exactly how stretched they are all over the country.
And David said the teachers are so stretched at my son's school, but they are doing their best. And we know that. Of course they're doing their best. You'd feel bad for the ones that are sticking around. I mean, how can you feel bad for the ones who are sticking around? They're in the job that they love to do. They should be supported.
And we spoke to a principal just a couple of months ago. She was a principal in Dublin, and an awful lot of her teachers had decided to leave, go to Australia or Dubai to kind of save up a bit of money. They couldn't get accommodation in Ireland, and a few of them hadn't left yet, so she got them to come back in as subs.
Yes.
And the department said, no, we won't pay them because they've decided to leave their job.
Really?
They were just trying to help.
It was incredible. The principal was asking them back, and they were willing to come back while they were waiting to go for a couple of months. And the Department of Education said, no, we're not going to pay them.
We'd love to hear from you today on that or anything that we're speaking about. 0896 111 111. Now, we are giving you the opportunity to win the ultimate Christmas experience. This is thanks to Siwi, the award-winning photo printing specialist. What we're doing is we're offering one lucky viewer an all-inclusive 2-night trip for 2 adults and 2 children. What are they going to be doing? They're going to be visiting Santa in Lapland.
No way.
Yep.
Lovely, yes. Now, this prize includes return flights, hotel stays, all meals and complimentary thermal gear,
Look at them.
which you will need to get your little ones warm and cosy. And we'll also have Siwi credit to the value of €250 for our winners, so you can create an ultimate Siwi photo book with photos from the experience, just like that.
So Siwi is one of Ireland's leading providers of photo gifts and offers personalised Christmas cards. So, to enter this competition, all you have to do is send us your funniest family Christmas photos. We're seeing quite a few at the minute of them. He's crackers, love it. So you might feel it's a little bit too early, but even if you have a picture from other years, send it in to us. We want to see it. Email it in to irelandamcomp@virginmedia.ie.
Not only that, but Siwi will also be giving 10 runners-up a Siwi gift voucher to create their personalised Christmas cards as well, which is so lovely. And I was looking at people who put up their Christmas decorations over the weekend. Big smile on my face.
Because we were asking last week, and people, we were chatting about it on the show.
Your neighbours were putting up their Christmas decorations?
There's some neighbourhood, where I was.
Really?
There were some
Oh, no,
Christmas
I haven't seen that yet. The Halloween stuff is only coming down. But remember last week, people were putting up their Christmas decorations.
Full-on Christmas tree.
Full-on.
October 16th was the earliest we had somebody doing it.
That was last,
Oh, yeah.
October
16, can you beat that? Now, after the break, we're going to discuss whether your accent impacts the way people treat you. Stay with us, right? See you in a minute, right?
You're welcome back. Now, legislation to prevent discriminating against someone based on their accent has been talked about by the government for several years, but still nothing has been done to implement it.
Shocking. Something talked about in this country and nothing done to implement it. We'd love to hear from you about accents. 0896 111 111. And here to discuss the topic of accentism is actor and writer Emma Kerwin and Dr. Stephen Luchek from the UCD School of Language. Thank you both so much for being here. We really appreciate it. Because it is something we talk about in this. There's a lot of different accents in this country. Stephen, first of all, what is accentism?
Accentism is using an accent, the way somebody uses language, particularly the sounds of the language, to differentiate them from other people. So you're creating groups of others, essentially, through how people use language.
Okay. So in the way that they use language, because I just think in Ireland there is such a wide variety of accents. So do you feel that people are judged in this country by their accent, whether they're country, whether they're Dublin, whether they're, you know, even for jobs or for any walk of life?
Well, I mean, there's been a fair amount of research on this. I've done some myself with secondary school students in Dublin. And these are transition year students. They're going out to do work placement. They're kind of outside their home bubble for the first time. And what they tell me is that they know they have to change the way they speak at work because they're not going to be thought of as being like a productive member of staff if they sound a certain way, especially if they sound like they're from a working class background.
But how could they change their accent?
You learn like coping strategies. Sometimes your teachers give this to you, sometimes it's principals, sometimes other like figures of authority in your life.
But I'm assuming this isn't kids who come from a D4, you know what I mean, accent. Like, do they have to change their accent? Or is it kids from different areas?
It depends. It depends. Like if a kid from, as you say, a D4 background is going to do something that's not typically associated with D4.
So they might have to soften their accent as well to fit in the cultural sake.
Yeah.
You're shaking your head here, Emmett. And, you know, you're very well known. You're a voiceover artist. You're a really well-known actor. When you were growing up, was there something that was said to you about your accent?
No, not where I grew up. No, I think all of these things. It's never an implicit thing that's said to you. You know, you need to change how you speak. I think what happens to young people is there's a kind of tacit understanding that if you were to change your voice, things would go considerably better for you. So there's lots of papers on this, and Stephen's referenced a few of them about, you know, young people from working class backgrounds. And working class isn't just synonymous with one specific place within Dublin. It's every county, town, village, city across the country, that you need to become slightly more middle class in order to get along. Nobody's saying that to you, but there's an understanding that your life and your education and everything in terms of job employment and prospects would go better for you if that was to happen. But there is the inverse of what you just said as well. If you go into another and you know you have an accent that people might say is a D4 accent, you might be asked to kind of knock the edges off that as well. But there's a thing called accommodation that happens with most people. Stephen could speak to this more than I could. So, accommodation is when me and you are talking right now, my accent is accommodating your accent. They're basically meeting each other in the middle and they're levelling out. And it's what humans do in order to communicate to someone, I'm not a threat, I want to get along. Because humans invariably want to get along with other people and they want people to like them.
So have you been asked to change your accent? Obviously in acting, whatever, in certain roles, that's part of the job.
Yeah.
But in terms of when you've been auditioning for something, has somebody said, oh, your accent doesn't quite fit, can you make him...
Usually it's just in relation to the character, you know. The only time accent would kind of come up, I think, in acting is when communication is a problem. So if there is an audience that somebody is thinking about, let's say an American audience, they might say, maybe if you lean too much into the kind of authenticity of that accent, that's going to be slightly harder for people from an international audience to understand, you know, which I can get. But yeah, no, nobody's ever turned around and said... Soften that accent up there. Yeah. Knock the talent out of that, bro. You know? So,
maybe behind your back.
You know, possibly.
But it is, I think there's an awful lot of judgment, and we did see it. It was quite clear this year, if you were watching the Oireachtas committee, with Matty McGrath, the TD from Tipperary, when he was saying, are you loyal? And are you a liar? Everyone was like, I'm sorry, I don't. And then from the committee, he was like, I'm sorry, I don't understand what you're saying. And watching that, I was sitting there going, these are two people who live 150 kilometres away from each other. And it felt kind of emblematic of the privilege in society and then everyone else. Does that make sense, Stephen?
Absolutely, 100%, yeah. There's certain groups of people who don't have to soften their accent, who don't have to always accommodate. And for them, you know, it's a little bit of an easier path. I'm not saying it's an easy path. Nobody has an easy path. But from the varied groups of students I was talking to, they all are aware that there's like, you know, a prestige attached to a certain style of speech. And some of them are using that as their home variety of English. They don't have to do as much. There's more of a cognitive load on kids from areas that don't have that as their default, as their home accent.
And because you've written a play on this, Emmett, called Accents. Like, is that what it's kind of based around?
The play itself is set 12 hours before the birth of my son. And so my son came along during the end of the COVID regulations or whatever. So me being outside the hospital and kind of just standing there and just kind of wondering what kind of accent is my son going to have. And then my family are from inner city Dublin. My grandparents are from inner city Dublin and then would have moved to Tala. So it kind of goes through the kind of anthropological move of studying the different accents as they developed from the inner city to places like Crumlin and then further and how they've changed. So my accent is very different from my grandmother's accent.
Okay.
So I delved into that, spoke with people like Stephen, and it's made to music with a musical artist from Cork called Owen French who performs as Talos. So it's all about accents, it's about being a father, about that kind of space that you exist within before you become a dad and being terrified. And yeah, it's kind of a journey across Dublin and through the different accents and the different years, And so I've done a good bit of study on it as well,
Because it does tie us together. Like, it's interesting that you look at that. If I think of our grandparents' accents, it's different to how I sound very, very, very much. And it's kind of like, but where's our common ground? And we're looking at a world now, Stephen, that we are very influenced by what we're hearing. And is there an Americanization of accents happening because of YouTube, or is this just something I'm perceiving?
It would be a fairly common point of contention, for sure. Lots of people notice this. I don't know if it's quite Americanization. We have a PhD student in UCD who's working on this at the moment. It's more of like linguistic features that are associated with, we associate them with Americanity, like Americanness.
Yeah.
But they are already there. And there's this whole theory around the mediatization of language, how we can be influenced by what we watch, say on YouTube, or for us, probably when we're younger, broadcast TV. In order for that to be a lasting change and not just a quick, we're saying, could you be any more X, Y, or Z? It has to be something that's already part of language change happening.
Okay.
So, do you think, is it important for people to embrace accents? Like, is it something that as a country we should be proud of? And that, whenever you see Sinn Féin are talking about bringing in this equality bill in 2021 to tackle accentism in the workplace, I think it's in France at the minute. Like, is it worth doing that? Do you think that that's a positive step forward?
I mean, absolutely.
Yeah, I think accent is a signifier of not just, it's a fundamental part of who you are.
Yeah.
And it is a signifier of your heritage, in some instances your culture. You could have parents that are from different parts of the world. So your accent is a mix of your peer group that you grew up with, your experiences in the town you grew up with. So it's place, it's culture, it's heritage. It's essentially part of the essence of who you are. I think a better kind of thing is economic background is really what this is about. Accent is used as a signifier of economic background and people discriminating or reducing access to power for people from different economic backgrounds.
Yeah.
And economic background is a huge umbrella under which many different kind of isms can fall, like racism or homophobia or transism. You know what I mean? People excluding people because of things. And what happens is when people use accent as a signifier, they're basically thin slicing. They're making a judgment call on your values, on your ethics, and ultimately they do a thing where they think that accent and intellect are two things that correlate. So they make anchoring judgments from the first time they meet you based on nothing else other than how you sound. How you sound is a signifier of good things, not bad things. So I think it's about tackling those things and and stopping people from removing access to power just because of the way you talk, which is quite silly when you think about it.
I think it's so interesting, especially in light of accent and intellect with Boris Johnson and everything that we're hearing coming out about him and the COVID
They all
inquiry.
thought he was a smart dude.
He speaks a certain way, exactly.
He wasn't.
So interesting. Accent the Play, it returns June and July 2024.
Hopefully dates to come soon, nationwide tour, Dublin, Galway, Limerick, Cork and Tala.
Oh. Tala's going to be there.
I was going to say TV3's hometown, but this is Virgin Media. It'll always be TV3. You know what I mean?
The heart.
I love that one there. Emma Kerwin, thank you so much. And also Dr. Stephen Luchek, lecturer in linguistics at the UCD School of Language. A pleasure to have you in and so interesting.
Perfect coffee every time. Tassimo sponsors cookery on Ireland AM.
You're very welcome back. Now, kebabs are on the menu this morning and Gina Daly is in the kitchen. Good morning, Gina.
Good morning, Gina.
Hello.
And here you go, Tommy. There you go.
What's this?
It's your food.
Is it?
If you're going to have a fakeaway, it may as well.
This is actually it, isn't it? I thought you did another. Right, so what? We're making kebabs and you brought one with you.
Look at this, your fakeaway in the brown paper bag and all.
Oh, my. I mean, it's not even Saturday night. Look at this.
You don't
Gina.
even want to try and get a kiss and a kebab,
you tell us how we make it and I'll just start eating. Yeah.
Okay, so
thank you.
This is called a chicken shawarma, so it's basically built on a spike and put in the oven.
Oh.
So the chicken I'm going to use for it, which is the nicest, is it all right?
I think Tommy agrees.
I use chicken thighs, so I make sure that all the skin and any excess fat is taken off them. And the main thing about this is you want loads of flavour in the meat. So what I'm going to do is I have a mix of like garlic, turmeric, cardamom, loads of bits and pieces here. The whole list will be on the website. So you're literally just going to throw all that in on top of your chicken. And then you're just going to get a bit of water. Now, you can mix this with Greek fat yogurt. And I was actually laughing at myself last night. I was like, oh, I'm making this vegan. And I was like, no, it's chicken and cheese.
Close enough.
So, yeah, close enough. So what you're going to do then is you're just going to get your chicken, mix it all up and get it really nice and coated. Now, if you want like full-on flavour, marinate it overnight in the fridge. Just cover that with cling film.
But that's handy. Like you'd have cumin, turmeric, paprika, coriander, ginger, no problem in a lot of people's cupboards.
The ideal thing about it is that you can make it if you don't like those flavours. If you want something, you can do like a chicken Caesar one. So like with Italian herbs and seasoning and
the flavour
Caesar
on
sauce.
it is really good too.
So with mine, I have a specific spike, but if you don't have a spike at home, you can shift one. So you just get a spud and these little skewers here, which you pick up for about €1, and you just pop them up through the potato, and then you're going to build your kebab on top of it. Now, this then will make a lovely baked potato afterwards.
So
if you want like
perfect
loads.
base for it.
Yeah, so literally.
It'd be nicer to do with the spud then and have the baked potato, isn't it?
Yeah, more flavour as well. So all you're going to do then is layer it up. So you just build it. So you know when you get a kebab, like if you remember getting kebabs, the only time I ever had a kebab was when I was drunk. But they're like you see.
Right now, you must be there right now.
That's why I had to start making my own. I don't go out anymore.
Sauce on it, though, and I tell you what, you'll be smelling me for the week.
Didn't know where you were.
Does it make it more tender when you layer it on top of each other?
Yeah. So what is
so it's
going to compress down, and then it's the slice, and then afterwards you get that really nice kind of effect. Now you can use chicken breasts as well. I just find the chicken thighs are much more kind of juicy.
A lot of people, I'm hearing that a lot recently. People are going with the chicken thighs rather than the breasts.
Yeah, and they're cheaper as well. Like, I mean, the price of chicken has gone up like crazy, and chicken breasts are so expensive. But I'm a sucker for like de-scalding the chicken. I absolutely can't stand it. So I just make sure everything has gone off. And once there's no fat, but when you're cooking it slow...
Would you do a roast chicken then, no?
Yeah.
But then
I only eat the breast and the leg.
You'll take all the...
But when you're cooking something like that slow in the oven, all the fat renders down. So even if there are kind of... it's really nice. So all you do then is you're going to pop this in the oven. Okay, so let's pretend I put that one in the oven.
Okay. Look at you with the fancy little oven mitt. It's like a little Kermit the Frog, isn't it?
So this is now my poor scarlet for my kebab. It looks...
That's all.
So normally what I would do is the juices come out in this, because I've had it on all morning. It's going to... You baste it so you get it really moist and all the flavours coming back onto it.
Delicious.
And then what you're going to do... So I usually put a little onion on the top. Again, you can put that into your kebab to get more flavours in it.
Is there a reason why?
It's just afterwards you have this really nice kind of tasty onion.
Yeah.
And it just... Sometimes it looks nicer.
Flavour,
So what you're going to do then is you're just going to slice it like what you see in the kebab shops.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
like
slice
this.
it down like that.
You could use that for sandwiches.
Anything at all. And you can keep it like leftovers in the fridge. It works really well in salads, in burgers, in anything. Just put it into baps. So normally what I would do is on a tray like this, I cut it all out, put all my salads, put it in the middle of the table, and everybody
And let everybody just help themselves.
Yeah, because not everybody likes...
put the breads around with it as well.
Yeah, exactly. So that's it there. You just slice it up.
So what sauce have you put in this one?
There's spicy kebab sauce.
I'm going to start eating my tinfoil more often. That's the way forward, isn't it?
So with your kebabs, just a little pita, bit of onion, bit of shredded lettuce. Then pop your kebab meat in. It's really hot.
But what is the sauce, the extra sauce? Then that's it there. What is that?
It's your special sauce.
So that's my special mix. So it's like sriracha, mayo.
You make this up yourself?
I didn't make this one, but I usually do.
All right.
Of course you do, Gina.
Yeah, I do. But usually just sriracha and garlic mayonnaise and then kind of...
It's like the McDonald's special sauce, but it's really a special sauce.
A load of sauce in it. And
Love
then
it.
just serve them up. And that's it. It's so simple and such a really nice takeaway.
And how long does it go into the oven for again?
So I usually cook it for about an hour on kind of
An hour?
170 to 180, just to let it get really soft and let it render down. But
It's so tasty, isn't it? Well, yours is gone.
I'm glad you liked it.
Gina, that is so lovely. Thanks so much for that.
Thanks a million.
Now,
Thank you,
after
Gina.
the break, we're going to speak to the high-profile hairstylist who's making herstory around the world. We're going to see you in a bit. See you in a few minutes.
Perfect coffee every time. Tassimo sponsors cookery on Ireland AM.
Welcome back to Ireland AM. Our next guest is truly a hairstylist to the stars, having worked with the Kardashians, Madonna and Adele, to name a few.
And
It's a lot, isn't
Murren
it?
O'Connell
No,
later.
He wouldn't go near that. He'd like to study it.
But when he's not busy taming manes, he's advocating for the LGBTQI+, we have to get it right, plus community. Celebrity hairstylist Andrew Fitzsimons joins us now. Good morning
Hi.
to you.
Good
morning,
How are you?
guys.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much.
And we were just chatting there before we came on air. Like, you've been doing this hairstyling since you were 13.
13
You left
years
school
old.
at 13.
I was one of those very precocious 13-year-olds who thought he was 30. Yeah, yeah, for real.
Well, like I suppose we were all discussing, you're meant to obviously do your junior cert, stay in school until after that.
Yeah.
Why did you leave school?
Well, honestly, for me, I was going to an all-boys school for the first time in secondary school.
Yeah.
Before that, it was mixed and it was great, and I had a great experience in school before that. But secondary school was the first time I really realized that I was different. I was shown to be different by the other kids. So it was a very difficult time for me. I experienced a lot of homophobia, a lot of bullying. So after first year, I asked my mom to get me a summer job, and she said, I'll get you something. I don't think she was planning on the mechanics or the labouring. She was like, it's going to be flower arranging or hairdressing, I'm assuming, for my gay son. So she got me a job in a little local hair salon, and I was saying to you, I was doing all the blue rinses, and I was just loving life, and I just didn't want to go back. I knew that school was just not a sustainable place for me at that time because of the homophobia and the lack of support for me. So I felt like, okay, I'm going to be around all women for the first time. For the first time, I was able to be myself. I didn't have to pretend to be someone else. Because in school's hard enough without having to then, on top of all the schoolwork, then have to live in the shadows and take all of that on. So I was ready to leave school.
So, Andrew, did you know you were gay at 13?
I knew I was gay a long time before 13.
Really?
Yeah. Since the Spice Girls, I guess, opened my eyes.
What a great
opening. They ushered in my gayness.
But that has led you in your life to being very out, obviously, and kind of standing up for what it is you believe in. And you are an ambassador for Stand Up Awareness Week this year. So tell us about that.
Well, Stand Up Awareness Week is really, really incredible. I really wish it existed when I was in school. So Belong To is this amazing organisation here in Dublin that works with the whole LGBT community in Ireland. But specifically this year, we're focusing on allyship, which is so important, especially in schools. If I had allies, friends that would have stood up for me, teachers who would have understood, had the resources to be able to support an LGBT student, maybe I wouldn't have had to leave at 13 and I could have finished my education. So Stand Up Awareness Week is really amazing because today is day one. It's all the way until Friday this week. And Belong To basically are able to give post-primary schools, youth organizations all of the information and guidance that they need in order to make schools a safe space for everybody, not just LGBTQ students, but everybody to feel comfortable.
Because I suppose people think that this day and age, it's really easy now for LGBTQI plus community. But there's still an awful lot of stigma there for many, and trying hard to come out if you're down the country, or if you're in a certain type of a family. So there is that need for organisations like this.
Absolutely, and especially for kids, because I was that gay kid in school that I was hiding in the bathrooms crying, not knowing what to do because there was no one there to support me. Only my mom back at home, and I couldn't bring my mom to school every day as much as I wanted her to be my bodyguard.
100%.
I couldn't, so... you know, Ireland, we can celebrate so much. We've come such a long way since I've left Ireland. Marriage equality, for instance. But you know what? If it was only LGBT people voting on that, it wouldn't have passed. We needed those allies.
Oh, yeah, we did.
And to find out more, and it is so important to be an ally, you can find out more on belongto.org, an amazing organisation. But we have to start to go into your life, because it's bonkers to me. Like, one of your first private clients when you were 21 years old was Mariah Carey.
Yeah.
How did you not crumble into a puddle on the floor? Like, she's Mariah Carey.
She's Mariah Carey. Well, the thing is, I was 21. I just moved to New York. And Mariah Carey's Mariah Carey. She's like one of the biggest icons, especially this time of year.
And she's defrosting now for Christmas.
She invented Christmas. No, for me, it's like I had been working since 13, so I'd grown up on set learning how to be professional and work on my work ethic. So I knew walking into a room with Mariah Carey, I couldn't think of her as Mariah Carey. I had to think of her as just like... But I kind of treat all of my clients the same. My mom sitting down in front of me, a friend or a client. I'm just there to do my job to the best of my ability and make them look great. But yeah, sometimes you look up and you're like, oh, well, that's Mariah Carey, or that's Madonna.
Or then the Kardashians. I mean, how did that connection start with you? Because Khloe and the Kardashians, you're just so close, especially Khloe.
Yeah.
Like, she's nearly like your BFF.
Yeah, I would consider one of my closest friends. When I worked in New York, I was working in fashion. I was doing every job that I could take. I was working 7 days a week, still do. And this young model, her first ever photo shoot came in. Her name was Kendall. And we hit it off, and we started working together whenever she was in New York. I was living in New York at the time. Then I decided to move over to, that's my leaf blowing skills.
I was just looking at that. I was like, your mum will have you out doing the leaf blowing when you're home.
I know. My mum's next profile picture, I'm going to have to take out the leaf blowing. But yeah, I worked with Kendall. Then I think the makeup artist then introduced me to Courtney, started working with Courtney. Then I decided to move to LA. And then I was working with the whole family.
You slag her something rotten, Chloe. Chloe, you really do. You slag her something rotten.
Well, she gets me because I'm Irish. Like, my Irishness is the same as her sense of humor. Her sense of humor is very different for an American person. She takes the piss out of herself.
Yeah.
But yeah, we get on very well. As soon as I walked in and she heard my accent, she was like, where are you from? Because Americans never really know where an accent is from. They're just like, you're foreign. And I was like, I'm from Ireland. And she's like, oh, you're a little leprechaun. I'm like,
oh, God.
So it started there. We started bullying each other there. But like, it's all good fun.
And how do you fit your life in? Because it's sort of, if you've got all of... How do you do it? Like, are you booked up in advance going, I need you to travel with me around Europe for a month and a half? And you have to drop other people?
No, well, everything is about scheduling.
Yeah.
And I'm not a very schedule-y person, so it's like, okay, you have a red carpet in New York on this date, so then I can take other bookings in New York around those dates, or I might travel. Like, we're spending a lot of this summer in New York filming American Horror Story with Kim, so I was available in...
So, like, if you were in New York for a day, you'd have a client base then that would go, how much do you charge?
More than when I was doing the blue rinses. A little bit more.
I was about to say, when you come home for the week, do you have the friends going, come here, Andrew, you come over and give me a bit of a cut?
Yes, I do. The only person that I will cut their hair is my nephew, Luke. But he's probably my most difficult client.
What about your mum?
My mom, she gets me to do her hair a lot. Like, she's maybe one of my favorite people, but she's one of my least favorite clients.
Oh.
She's definitely the pickiest client I've ever had. I've worked with A lot of celebrities, like Mariah Carey, my mom is way worse.
Really? She go, it's not quite right here.
It's like, that's not the way the girl does it.
What's your mum's name?
Aileen.
Aileen, fair play to you.
Aileen.
Don't be letting him get notions with his Kardashians. Andrew, it's been a pleasure having you in. Thank you so much. And lovely to talk to it again.
And a great cause that you're supporting.
Thank you.
So
Belong
it really is.
to .org. We'll be back with you on Ireland Day in just a minute. God bless Aileen.
Dublin Discovery Trails app and Dublin City Council have teamed up with Ireland AM this week to give one lucky viewer the chance to win an overnight stay in the Mason Hotel Dublin, along with a range of exciting experiences, including the Guinness Storehouse, Epic and the Little Museum of Dublin. Explore and learn all there is to know about Dublin's rich culture and history through Ireland's first augmented reality map and treasure hunt. Discover is a new augmented reality experience that harnesses the power of AR and Google Maps, transforming the way tourists and locals immerse themselves in Dublin. Simply download the Dublin Discovery Trails app via the App Store to learn more about Dublin's rich culture and take part in the treasure hunt to see Dublin's wonderful landmarks. For your chance to win, just text WIN to 57199 or call 1550 999 333 and answer this question. In what Irish city would you find the Molly Malone statue? Is it A, Dublin, or B, Galway? Best of luck.
The very best of luck with that. I'm just saying, I'm loving Google Maps at the minute, and that 3D augmented reality.
So if you're a neighbour at Tommy's, if you're a neighbour at Tommy's, he'll know what you have hanging out in your line.
It's amazing. You can check it all out. Anyway, yeah, check it out. We were also talking earlier on today about many things, but one of them was accents. It was really interesting. Chatting to how people perceive, even going for jobs, three people with completely different accents, and somebody might not get the job just based on it. And we have a lot of text coming through. Lizelle said, as a hairdresser, she changes how I talk with each client. So I'm also from Tala, and I began my career in a posh salon. Imagine being able to change your accent to kind of fit whoever you're talking to.
Whoever it is, yeah.
It's terrible that you feel you have to do that,
though. You have to do that.
Bernie says, I think accents are not the problem. I think it's the poor command of English. Well, Mirren, you're all about this. And poor grammar is the big problem. So many people say seen instead of saw or done instead of did. Would you say, I done that?
But also there's an element of Irish coming into how we say things. It's very different to, we'll say, proper English for the English people. We do say things in a different way.
It's like, I seen that instead of I saw that.
Yeah.
I think I might do that.
But your accent still is your accent.
Your accent,
Erin says, I was raised in America, so I have, obviously, an American accent. And my 4-year-old daughter makes me say YouTube to her friends and laughs because I don't say...
says what, sorry?
YouTube. Mo is inside. Say YouTube, Mo, because she goes on to say that my daughter laughs because I don't say YouTube like she does, like we would say.
She just called you a tube. YouTube.
Did you ever go to elocution lessons?
Yes.
No.
Did you?
Yeah.
In school?
Everyone on my row, we all went to elocution.
You can really tell.
It was speech and drama and all that kind of stuff. What
happened?
I didn't pay attention.
Did it? Clearly. Because Anna said we went to elocution lessons when we were young. It was paid special class. So does that just even out your accent?
Well, yes.
We also
does it just make you sound like you're into drama?
It's sort of like Mum wanted to get rid of us for an hour, so she was like, "Off you go."
Does it like dumb down your accent kind of thing, or get rid of your accent, your local dialect?
Yeah.
It would be we'd all kind of still sound like we're from Limerick, but also it would be so that you'd be able to stand on stage and do the feshina. Yeah. So you do the kind of the...
I remember that. I wonder, does it still happen? I'm sure it does. You go to elocution lessons.
There you go. Anne said, and then Breda just says, language is your own unique gift. You should use your own only.
There we go.
And it is. It's something that you embrace as you get older. But I think when you're younger...
But it's lovely going to different parts of the country and hearing the different accents. It'd be terrible if it was all the same.
But years ago, I tell you, you'd only really hear Dublin people. Do you know what I mean? They're what, like Janie, Limerick, Monaghan,
Bet
and this
you
fella.
wish you could have that now.
You could get them back. After the break, we're going to be chatting to leading health and performance coach Gerry Hussey about his latest book.
Stay with us for more. Excellent.
Welcome back. Now our next guest is a leading mental health advocate and author who's helped many people on their journey to fulfilling their full potential.
So here to talk about understanding emotions and how we can best help your mind, body and soul is performance coach and author Gerry Hussey. Good morning.
Good morning.
To you, Gerry. Congratulations on your new book, The Freedom Within. It is based very much on emotions, positive and negative. Explain, because there's an awful lot in this and there's a lot of different emotions you talk about, but it kind of comes down to two, really, positive and sadness being the negative one.
Yeah, I think we'll all agree that, you know, emotions play a huge role in our life at times. We all have dreams, ambitions, and when we're full of joy and love and gratitude, life seems a little bit easier. And then when we're full of emotions of fear, guilt, shame, life seems heavier. We hold ourselves back. We judge ourselves too quickly. And the emotions play a massive impact on the decisions we make every day. So they make a massive decision on our life, our happiness. But what this book also looks at is they make a massive impact on our physical health. So a lot of people mightn't realise that the emotions you hold play a huge role in your physical health. So if we're in a stress mode or we're feeling anger or shame or guilt, it's having a huge negative impact. So I think for too long we've looked at mental health and we've looked at the brain, and the brain is really exciting and it's amazing. But we really now need to look at emotional health, because the brain is a victim of the emotion. We can't think outside of our emotion. And really there's only two human emotions, love and fear. And I think many of us, myself included at times, we live from a place of fear, constantly racing, chasing, pushing ourselves hard. We're overcritical on ourselves. And the question is why? So this book is about how do we finally get to move away from the emotions of fear and more into emotions of love.
So that's interesting. All emotions, the broad spectrum, is under two emotions, which is love and fear, so joy and all that kind of stuff. Do you think that we are doing a disservice to our young people in how we rear them? Because when you think of this world, it can be very gendered. And big boys don't cry, and you don't do that. And then girls are hysterical and they're over-emotional. When emotions are natural and you have to be able to express them. Are we impeding children?
I think that's such an important point. You know, there's no such thing as a negative or positive emotion.
Okay.
Every emotion is information. The only negative emotion is a repressed or suppressed or denied emotion. The problem with labels is we've said that certain emotions like happiness are great. So we're all wanting to be happy. And people feel, I should be happy all the time. But happy is just a temporary emotion like anything else. We should allow ourselves to feel every human emotion, because in that emotion, there's information. And if we activate what I call the observer part of ourselves, we're not too worried about the emotion. We're asking, so if Tommy says something and I get angry, instead of me reacting to Tommy, what I should say is, why did that trigger anger in me? Because he can't make me feel an emotion that I'm not already carrying. So what we have to do is separate where I project my emotion to what is the actual root cause of my emotion. I hold that emotion. That emotion is in me. And if we're really willing to feel all the different emotions without judgment, without comparison, to feel them, it gives us a massive insight into what's going on in our life and what's going on in our bodies.
It's really interesting what you're saying there as well. What another part of it from the book too as well, like you said should, there are probably about 5-6 times in that, where actually should is something that you say we should try to get rid of, because should puts a huge amount of pressure on us.
Should, could, might. In the book we talk about, you know, real agreements, non-judgment, non-comparison. And non-comparison is not comparing yourself to other people, which makes perfect sense, but it's also not comparing yourself to the person you think you should be. We all live with this pressure to have a certain life and be a certain way and have things at a certain time and have children and have a house. And then the other thing is we
should have a house. She's my sister, she should do this. I should be going out there and helping in this. Like, we put ourselves under a lot of pressure from judgment of what other people would think.
Massive. I think, particularly when it comes to family dynamics, I think family is a term that comes with such baggage. You're my mother, you should know better. He's my brother, he should have helped. But the problem with families is we never sit down and agree things. So we have expectations without agreement. And the title of brother, sister, mum and dad comes with huge emotional baggage, but we're never really let down by other people. We're let down when other people don't match our expectations. But was that expectation ever agreed? And it's the same with life. And in the book, I talk about the freedom contract. The truth about life is there is no contract. You're not guaranteed anything.
Yeah.
You're not promised anything. And we live with this fictitious idea that life should be something. And when it's not, we resist the life we have, and we reject the life we have because it's not the life we think we should have. And we're living in the suspended reality where we're constantly rejecting who we are at this moment and the life we have at this moment because it's not this fiction idea that we have.
It's so interesting, right? Because the shoulda, woulda, coulda, right, that we sort of live in. And there's 5 different things I want to ask you about that. But that sort of, this should be my life, and it's not, and we're rejecting it. It causes stress, right? It does. In us, that we're all like stressed that not everything is happening the way we want it to happen. And you're talking in the book about how it's something that we can become addicted to, this stress chemical that we have. And that's depleting us, right? This is causing us a whole load of problems.
Yeah, the most illnesses in the world right now are chronic illnesses. Acute illnesses are so small. So chronic illnesses are something that has been building over the years. And then chronic illness are caused mainly by chronic stress. And stress can be pressure we put inwardly. It can be an unresolved emotion. It can be a previously held trauma. It could be simply that we're pushing ourselves too hard. When we're in stress, we enter what's called the sympathetic nervous system. Adrenaline, cortisol, and we go into survival, fight or flight mode. The prefrontal cortex of the brain is switched off. We're not thinking clearly. We've no perspective. We've no emotional regulation. But what we need to know is for every moment we're in the sympathetic nervous system, our parasympathetic nervous system is switched off. And if the parasympathetic nervous system is switched off, so is our immune system. Our gut is not working correctly, and our body is now in a state of dis-ease. And dis-ease, what does dis-ease mean? Lack of ease. So lack of ease in the mind and lack of ease in the spirit is scientifically proven to cause a lack of ease or a disease in the body.
So how do we fix it? You talk about like a morning routine. Like what other things can people do to help with these and change that kind of change in mindset?
The biggest thing for me is it sounds weird, is that because I'm so fascinated in the mind, is the body. The word emotion is a French word meaning physical disturbance. Emotions make powerful, important changes to your body, to your immune system, to your hormonal system. The quickest way to change an emotion is by activating the body. And when you talk about energize or exercise, an exorcism is when we remove a ghost. And what's a ghost? A negative energy. So emotion is energy in motion. When we have a powerful emotion, the brain releases electrical and chemical signals that flood into the body.
So how do you do that?
Light movement, it could be yoga, it could be exercise, it could be dancing, but it has to be something that energizes you.
Okay.
And so it could be cold water immersion, turn on your shower for ice cold for a minute. It could be meditation, it could be visualization. A lot of us wake up in the morning and we instantly start thinking about the things we don't want in our life. Where visualization is we fire those neurons in the brain and we release a totally different signal because now we're thinking about what we want in life.
Can I ask you about the meditation thing? Because it's something I have tried. It's something, visualization, a big part of playing sport, whatever. But meditation, I find, like, life is so busy nowadays. It's so difficult, like, with distractions and things coming in. And listen to you in a podcast talking about a simple way you got into it. And I think I tried it, and it's an amazing way of just focusing the brain.
Yeah, for me, like that, I had such a busy mind. And meditation for me started by getting a tennis ball and just challenging myself. Could I bounce the tennis ball 10 times and then 15 times and just focusing on the tennis ball? And then I started to breathe and count. So I was going from broad external awareness to narrow internal. Then I would put a red dot on the tennis ball. So now my next challenge was to count how many times I saw the red ball, the red dot. Now you're training your mind to become a little bit more focused, a little bit more attentive. And after a little while, you start to realize that when I stop connecting to this big, bad, scary outside world and focusing on something inward, something I can control, something that's just a bit of fun, I start to feel safe. Eventually, after a little while, I'd start bouncing the tennis ball and I'd nearly forget it was there. and I was just using my breath to be in that moment. I got to the point then where I didn't even have to have a tennis ball. If I was feeling anxious, I could literally sit down and just start doing this. So before a big interview, before a big event, I would literally sit down, take a deep breath and bounce the ball.
So you kind of feel like you're doing something, but you're actually distracting, you're distracting your brain to actually focus on something small.
Yeah, and
what benefit would you get from that, just from, say, 10 minutes to 5 minutes?
The massive benefit is, firstly, 5 deep breaths is the fastest way we can go from sympathetic nervous system, which is fight or flight, to parasympathetic. So 5 deep breaths is literally 10 seconds. That alone has a massive impact on our nervous system. Then when I was bouncing the tennis ball, I used to say words like calm, beautiful, easy, calm, love, beautiful. That scientifically fires new neurons in the brain. Those new neurons in the brain create new neurosynaptic connections, and that sends a new signal into your nervous system. So as simple as it sounds, you're actually changing the chemicals in your brain, you're changing the function of your nervous system, and you're changing your immune system. And it just brings you into this. If there's one place we all need to spend more time in, is the present moment.
And you had a massive tennis ball outside today, did you? You're so nervous coming in talking to us, Gerry. He was like, oh my God,
if you walk in on me now tomorrow, I'm calm, beautiful, gorgeous, whatever.
I'll be like, oh my God, Tommy thinks I'm beautiful. This is amazing.
You told me he's a picture in his attic that it says beautiful, calm every morning. The
picture of Dorian Gray, this fellow over here.
Listen, Gerry, The Freedom within your second book. Congratulations, Gerry Hussey.
Thanks so much for having me.
Pleasure to have you both
Holding it like a
with us.
baby there, so you were. He loves it.
Great to have you with us.
Thank you, Gerry.
Thank you so much.
Welcome back. Now, I am so into this because I never know what shoes to wear. And we've got 4 styles of footwear on the catwalk this morning. It's always hard when it's winter.
She's telling the truth. She comes in with about 3 shoes every morning.
Don't I?
Which one?
Pick one.
Which one?
Pick one. Pick one.
Sarah Regard is here to tell us all about it. Good morning to you.
The lesser known expression, you're never fully dressed without a shoe. But I think it's probably more important.
It certainly is.
But I do think a lot of us fall short in the shoe department when it comes to our outfits, and especially with capsule dressing that I'm always going on about. You know, what are those pieces that you need in your wardrobe?
Do you think it is the last minute thing? Oh, the shoes. I know it definitely is for men.
Totally.
It is for men. Oh, the shoes.
Yeah.
It's like an afterthought.
Yeah. Also, winter, when you don't be
100%.
wearing certain shoes, you're like, well, my ankles are freezing.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
And you don't want to wear a shoe.
Okay,
know, exactly.
so what are we starting with?
Okay, so we're going to start with the knee-high boot.
Heiza's here with us today.
It always surprises me how many people actually haven't invested in a knee-high black boot.
Can we have a look? Can we pull up? Just have a look at this.
Yeah, you can pull.
Heiza, that's lovely.
So these, now, it all depends on your lifestyle and what you need them for, and they are an investment piece. They don't have to be. You can get knee-high boots anywhere on the high street.
You absolutely can, yeah.
And you can go for a flat, you can go for a leather, a suede, but these will be the backbone of your capsule wardrobe. They are what you're going to pull out, you know, and wear. You can wear them over jeans, you can wear them with tights and skirts, you can wear them with middies. You know,
you're saying an investment piece, but like if you have them and keep them, you'll have them for years.
A lifetime.
Yeah.
An absolute lifetime. Because I know myself, I actually only invested in a pair of black boots last year. You know, because you keep thinking, can I get away with just having the shin boot or whatever? But you really need
Put a lovely jacket with this as well.
Yeah, so this is just like a classic biker that is, you know, there isn't too much hardware. So again, you'll get a lot of time out of it because it doesn't scream like a trend or, you know, a biker jacket. And then...
Talk to us about this dress.
Well, look, you know, I had to bring you a red dress.
Beautiful.
This is just such a beautiful pleated ankle-length dress from Selected Femme. It's so elegant and timeless. It's got a semi-sheer sleeve, that kind of slightly higher neckline, and then the tie belt.
I'm a bit wary of pleats because of my hips.
You'd be surprised with this one for whatever reason with the cinch in the waist. You know, I think pleated skirts are very hard to wear, but dresses are actually easier.
Just a little black bag to go with
little
it, then finish it
simple
off.
black bag from Mango, and yeah, she's a beauty.
Yeah, it's
gorgeous.
Lovely,
and you wear that with runners as well, right?
Absolutely. And speaking of...
Yeah, we were talking about these. You're saying these are the biggest selling shoes at the moment.
Yes, they're Adidas's biggest selling shoes since like the 1950s. So I think it's all about affordability, accessibility, although they are so hard to get.
So what's so different about these than other ones?
I think they're just like a neat... neat.
So it's of the moment.
shoe.
A few
It
years
is of
ago,
the
it was Stan Smiths that were the shoe of the moment.
Exactly. Or like your Vejas, everyone was wearing them. But now the likes of Bella Hadid, Hailey Bieber, once they wear something, you know they're going to just sell
So
out.
this is just people following trends.
It's a trend, yeah. But I've teamed them with a pair of socks as well, because this is quite a, I suppose, an Instagram look, you know.
But this is what I want to get good at, because seeing people in their Birkenstocks and their runners wearing socks, that's it now, right?
Yeah, exactly. So the move on now is your socks with your runners.
Yeah.
You know, because if you're not ready to wear tights, then this is a nice alternative. You won't have cold
ankles.
ankles.
There's a lovely blazer with this.
Yes, this is gorgeous. It's like it's a lovely textured blazer that's slightly oversized, which is obviously very on trend as well. And I just have it teamed with a really soft white knit roll neck from my Essential wardrobe.
Yeah, it's lovely.
And then
so cozy looking.
it is very cozy, really soft, not itchy.
That's a warm blazer.
It's a very warm blazer, which is hard to get and still keep the structure. So yeah, it'll be timeless as well. The skirt is amazing. It's got this little wrap effect at the front, which is very cool. Again, denim middies going nowhere. So this is kind of an update for winter in that darker wash, which is very cool as well. And then the bag, again, it's a kind of an of the moment
the quilted
style.
bag.
And the quilting detail is lovely. And then just the sunglasses in the grey, heavy grey frame.
To kind of match it all, so you've kind of stayed with the same tone throughout.
Yeah.
Gorgeous look there. Thank you, Danny. Now we're going out.
Look at these.
We're going glam. So
Myrne wants these, I'd say.
They're gorgeous. Sarah is wearing these stunning court shoes. So the court shoes are not going anywhere as well, and they have a bow detail.
Is that like a pearl detail in it or something?
So there's
I
a
can't
pearl.
Really see
there's
it.
a
Is it the
faux pearl in the heel, which is incredible, so different. And there's a beautiful bow at the back, which obviously bows are really big.
Huge.
Yeah, for accessories. So this is a really nice take on them. The court shoe style, as I said, not going anywhere. And who can resist a bit of velvet at this time?
And are they actual velvet?
They are, yeah.
Now, if you're going out in the rain, what
happens? Here we go.
Come here to me. Have runners in the bag. You take the shoes out when you get in.
Yeah,
that's it.
Worth it. A bit of rain won't. Spray them beforehand, you'll be grand.
Yeah, you
spray them.
Yeah, you can spray them. Yeah,
protect
them. So yeah, I have it teamed with these amazing earrings from Parfois, which I have myself.
They're gorgeous.
So fab. A few necklaces from H&M, and then a kind of slightly relaxed, oversized satin blazer from Selected Femme, which is just a winner. Again, something you'll grab every time you're going out.
It's a nice black
lovely little
jacket,
cream cami for underneath, and then let the metallic trousers and the shoes do the talking, I suppose.
The metallic trousers are fab with these
shoes. Again, are massive. You're seeing the silver ones everywhere, so this is kind of a nice take in the... If you don't want to go full silver, I think the gold is nice.
Because they're going to be around for they're around.
Yeah,
like, that's just the way it is.
Silver, I think, are a very trend piece.
They
are.
Think
a softer gold, or
they're classic. I gave into the silver thing. I absolutely love it.
Yeah.
Let's look at the gold bag.
And the clutch, the clutch is just gorgeous from part 2. Just very simple, easy, and kind of that.
Happy Christmas, Sarah. You've done that for us already today. Absolutely beautiful. Great shoes. Heise is back for our final look. Now, what are we... So I've just started watching. Yeah, I've just started watching Yellowstone, and I'm being told I'm going to want a pair of cowboy boots.
Okay. Well, whatever floats your boat. Yeah. Look, Isabel Marant is famous for doing the cowboy boot. She has time and time again. It's a real Parisian look to have a pair. Yes, to have a pair.
Because it was in years ago. Like years ago, everybody had a pair. I even had a pair of cowboy boots.
I think they're more subtle. So what I love about these, first of all, they're higher on the shin. What I don't want to see, I don't want any more ankle boots where you see skin between.
Heise, can you lift up your jeans a little bit? Let us see where they. Oh, they are that little bit higher. Yeah.
So they do go a bit higher. So they should be going inside your high-waisted, straight-leg jeans, which everyone has been wearing with their Birkenstocks and sandals over the summer. So this is how you wear them in the winter when your ankles start getting a little bit cold.
Thank you.
And is there a thing about white though?
Yeah, okay. These are a bit more fashion forward, but I think they're fabulous. I think the white is really cool and actually lifts a lot of outfits. Because if you just went for black, you'd kind of lose the detail.
Now let's talk about this coat.
Yes, it's reversible, first of all. Beautiful. So it's a 2 for 1. It's just a beautiful fleece and then suede on the inside. That
just shows the little bit of suede. Oh yeah, see it there. Yeah.
Really elegant. It's got kind of a funnel neckline and then kind of a wider sleeve, which is very, very cool.
Seeing a lot of that at the moment.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. And then the jumper,
very festive.
A little nod to the festive season. How to do it in kind of an everyday way, how to dress up your jeans, I suppose, with a little bit of jewellery on your
And the jeans here, they're cropped straight,
Yeah, they're cropped straight and they're absolutely divine. They're my essential wardrobe in that, again, that dark grey shade, which is brilliant for winter. And then the bucket bag has a bit of that kind of Western detailing on it.
Picking back up with it, yes.
On the cowboy boots.
Yeah.
Yes.
Great inspiration for anyone that's there. Great ways to show the old footwear. Get the socks out. I'll be wearing socks tomorrow. I love it if I wear a few.
Cover those ankles,
Cover up
please.
those ankles.
You wouldn't wear them with them, though.
Maybe I will. We'll see what happens. Sarah
Fashion
Rickard.
forward.
Thank you
Maireann
so
O'Connell.
much. And people can find you
on Style by Sarah Rickard on Instagram and styleby.ie for the clothes.
Thank you so much, Sarah. Cheers. Now, coming up next, we're talking memoirs and more in Showbiz this morning.
We'll see you after this quick break.
You're very welcome back. Now we are heading to Tinseltown to take a look at the world of showbiz.
Indeed. Welcome, Ali Ryan from gossip.ie. We're not going to Tinseltown quite yet. We're just going across.
We normally
across the
don't go
Irish.
to Tinseltown.
Well, no, we never do.
Maybe we will in a bit.
So, Harry won't be
Tinseltown.
attending King Charles's 75th birthday, is a report that we're seeing this morning.
So Prince Harry and Meghan, they do live in Montecito, which is close to Tinseltown, so we'll give you that one. Yeah, it's just another in just the long story of drama between King Charles and Prince Harry. So the thing is, to be fair to Charles, he is still like trying to reach out and stay close to that family. Like he's constantly inviting them to everything, and it's always a no, we're busy, we can't. Now it's hard to swallow that when he's off to Katy Perry's concerts and going to Beyonce, and he's like, I'm actually not available
Harry,
for your...
not Charles.
No.
Yeah, but it's in the same...
Not Charles.
It's in the same country he lives in. It's not like he's going, and he's obviously talking about, you know, air miles
he's been
and
given yeah, I don't think he really cares about that. He flies everywhere. But he's been given enough notice, and I think at the end of the day, the royal family wanted to be seen that, number one, they're extending the olive branch, but that they are trying. So it does make Harry and Meghan look a little bit more
there is a birthday party on November
Yes.
the 14th for Prince Charles in Clarence House. It's only a nighttime soiree, and he's like, I'm not coming all the way over.
But the last time, obviously, he had a really big birthday, they delayed their actual honeymoon, Harry and Meghan did, to attend, because obviously it was such a big deal. And at the end of the day, he is the king of England. It's not just my dad that lives in the UK, like, he's the king. Yeah. So it's a big deal to consistently be like, no, no, no. And you have to remember as well, when you look at the book that everybody listened to or read, like the amount of digs that are in there, especially to Camilla and calling her evil and stuff like that, and Charles is still inviting him, and he's like, no.
Well, listen,
so like a lot of people see
he's trying to put out an olive branch, but of course, listen,
I just find
it's
it
no
sad,
surprise that the two of them don't really speak very much.
No, but that's like no relationship with William, and like the kids, I don't think they've met anyone in that family at this point. Like the daughter Lilibet.
There we
Very sad.
It's like the Bull McCabe and his family. It's there we go.
It's the field.
It's the field all over again. A bigger field at stake, to be fair.
The palace. And The Crown is coming back, though, just for anyone who's really interested in the royals. It's coming back to Netflix, the final ever series this month. Yeah, and it will show the kind of Diana's death, the demise of kind of happened there. And there's a lot of William and Kate meeting at the beginning and stuff like that. So if you are into the royals, this season's meant to be incredible. So that's towards the end of this month.
And will it definitely be the last one? Sorry.
Yes.
No, it is.
It's the last. It's very sad.
Kourtney Kardashian had a baby, her fourth kid. What's it called?
Rocky.
Okay, Rocky.
Rocky Barker. So he's either going to be a boxer or a guitarist or something. I don't know. But yeah, I think everyone's just relieved because obviously she had that emergency fetal surgery a couple of weeks ago, and they tried really, really hard to get pregnant. It wasn't working. So it's a nice ending to that story, and I'm sure we'll see it all on the show.
Exactly.
The cameras will probably be in the ward.
To them as well. Colleen Rooney is all over Netflix, and it looks like she's a new book following.
Can I just say, I love the name of her book, the biography. It's called My Account. It's so good.
So we got Agatha Christie on Disney Plus recently, where she talks about everything. What are we going to find out in the book?
Well, just because my account obviously is to do with her Instagram account. For people who don't know
because her
that.
infamous Agatha Christie quote was like, "It's Rebecca Vardy's account. This is it's my account."
My account. Love
so
it.
yeah, obviously we've learned a lot about them as a couple and what happened through the show, but in the biography it's a little bit different. It goes more in depth. Obviously Wayne has been accused of cheating so many times.
She talks about it.
She talks about it in depth. You know, there's a lot of accusations flying around, and she does talk about it, and she explains why she took him back, which she's never really said before. In the documentary, she does say, "I went off, I had to think," but in the book, she basically says that if there's love, I don't know if I agree with this now, but if there's love in a relationship, it's worth fighting for, and no matter what Wayne did on the side, she knew he loved her. But she does kind of suggest there might be some alcohol issues in his life, and that the pressure from being a footballer, the pressure from being the public eye, leads him to drink, and when he drinks, he cheats. So if he just doesn't drink, he's grand. But that's how she talks about it in the book. But obviously, look, a lot of that is in the past. I think the last accusation was 2017 when he was caught drink driving with that girl in the car. But in fairness to Colleen, I have to say, like, she's no holds bar. Like, she does openly say, yeah, I did take him back. And she talks about how the public called her a doormat, that she was, you know, allowing such bad behaviour. And she's like, no, I dealt with it my own way. She also said they never did couples counselling, that she just was the counsellor.
And you were a big fan of the documentary as well, so it follows on from that.
I do like her, and there's a lot of
fairly in-depth
honesty in it, unlike the Beckhams.
You were also loving this one. So Mean Girls is back, or not quite. It's kind of like the Take That version of Mean Girls without Robbie Williams.
Yeah. So basically, it is an ad for Walmart, but I don't care, okay? They did a kind of, they went back to, on Wednesdays, We Wear Pink, and everybody returned, bar Regina George, who's Rachel McAdams. We can see there, that's all the original stars, and that's actually their daughters. It's done really
Black
cleverly.
Friday deals.
Yeah. just like forget about that. But all their daughters seem to be the current new Mean Girls. But look at Amanda Seyfried, like, she's now a news reporter. Lindsay Lohan plays like a guidance counsellor, so she's back in the school. It's done really well. Some of the guys, there's Kevin, he was in Mean Girls, the movie.
He was in it too.
Yeah, there's a lot of them that are back. Damien, who played her like best friend in the movie, he's back as well. I just think it's brilliant. I'd love to actually see a genuine, like, look,
of course,
back to
how
long
is the ad?
It's quite
it's
long.
About 2 minutes. But if you want to see it, it is online. It is from Walmart. That's
it's on the goss.ie Instagram. So
okay, there you go. You can see it there. Ali Ryan from goss.ie. Thank you so much for
where
all
we
of
get
that.
all our Showbiz
and that's
goss.
all we've got from us today. Coming up on tomorrow's show, hairstylist to the stars, another hairstylist, Sam McKnight, is going to demo the latest look for perfect hair.
The Skin Nerd's going to be talking all about skin. That is Jennifer Rock.
And music producer Pete Waterman. I'm going to be chatting to him about all things like Steps, Kylie, the Bananarama. He's worked with them all. That's coming up tomorrow. See you then. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.